Hi boys and girls, we're back again with another math video for you. We are continuing on talking about angles a little bit more. I hope you remember the last video where we talked about the different types of angles and how to measure those. We also left you with a problem to solve, so we're going to talk about it today. We're also going to talk about symmetry and two-dimensional objects. Okay, so let's look back at the word problem that we gave you last time. And it said, Miss Atkins is being crafty while off on this break. She is making picture frames for family photos. To make a frame, she will need 4 pieces of trim or wood, small trim. We need 1, 2, 3, 4. These pieces of wood, they have to come together to make a right angle. So they have to be cut to where they will actually fit together. The clue we gave you on this one was that piece A is cut at a 45-degree angle. So if we bring our protractor over, well, get up there. Okay, so it's pretty close, it's not exact, but the board's been a little cranky. And we draw an angle, a line out to show the 45 degrees. We start here at 0, we go 10, 20, 30, 40, and then I'm going to go halfway between 40 and 50 to get the 45-degree angle. Okay, so let's pretend that that line is straight and that this angle right here is 45 degrees. So now we need to figure out what would the other angle be if this one is 45 degrees. So let's think for a second about what we know about a right angle. We know that a right angle measures how many degrees? You're correct, 90 degrees. So we're going to think about this as if it is a multiplication, or not multiplication, sorry, an addition or a subtraction problem. So let's fill in what we know. We know that side A is 45 degrees. This one would be A. We don't know what B is, but we know that together they need to equal a right angle, which is 90 degrees. So you can think of addition, 45 plus what would give me 90, or you could say, if I need a total of 90 degrees and I take away what I already know, that is going to tell me what angle B would be. So 90 minus 45 is 45. So line B, or this angle here, would also be 45 degrees. Because remember, together they have to make a right angle, a 90-degree angle. So what happens if you're a carpenter and you're putting these boards together, trim together, you're cutting some pieces of wood, and you mess up just a little bit and you don't get that angle at a perfect 45. So let's think about what would happen if we messed up and piece A measured 54 degrees. So what can we do? We're going to move the protractor down here. Okay, the page just extended, no big deal. So that, again, we're wanting that right angle because our picture frame is going to meet at a 90-degree angle. And we know that A measures 54 degrees. So our first one, and we're going to come right up here, and it's going to be really close to 55, but not quite. So we have 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Well, that one we're going to just say that works. It's really close to 55. So this angle right here is 54 degrees. So we need to figure out what is this angle. And remember, both of these angles together have to total 90 because we know it's a right angle. These angles we learned last week are called complementary angles, and that's when you have two separate angles, two acute angles, and they come together to make a right angle, that means they complement each other. They're complementary angles. So this complementary angle or angle is 54 degrees, and this one is going to be, it's our unknown. We're not sure yet. So again, you could say 54 plus something gives me 90, or you could say 90 minus 54 degrees leaves me with, and this will be angle B. Okay, so now let's calculate the difference. If we want to say over here, we'll do our regrouping. 90 minus 54. You can do it like this and do your regrouping, or you can count up. You could use that open number line and count up that way. It takes me 6 more to get to 60, and then it would be 70, 80, 90, so it would be 36. So let's check and see if we're correct. Okay, 0 minus 4. I think I just heard all my math students say, you can't do that. You're correct, you cannot. When there's a bigger number on the bottom, you have to regroup, which is just shifting that value. So we're going to take some value over from here, and we're going to put it over here. 10 minus 4 is 6. 8 minus 5 is 3. So we were correct that line B is 36, or angle B is 36 degrees. So this one right here, we would have to cut it at 36 to get them to mirror up together and make a complete right angle. So even if you're doing some carpentry work and you get off just a little bit, knowing about a right angle and knowing that it is a total of 90 degrees helps you to cut those complementary angles, or those angles, to put them together and make the 90 degrees. So as long as you know that, you're in better shape. This is fun too when you're out. Some of you may grow up and be carpenters, and you're going to need to know all this, the measurement, the geometry of it. You're going to use a lot of angles and degrees when cutting stuff. Okay, boys and girls, we're going to move on to our next topic. Before we talk about symmetry, we're going to look at some of these shapes and just figure out what do we see in them. So here in this rectangle, I see 2 lines that are parallel and another 2 lines that are parallel. Also notice that it has 4 right angles, which that means they're 90 degrees. So we can see some of the things that we've learned about so far, our lines, our angles, we see that stuff in here. So with a star, we have not parallel lines, but we have intersecting lines. They're not perpendicular because they don't cross at a 90-degree angle. And we see a bunch of cute little angles, acute angles there. Over here, we have intersecting lines, and we have acute angles. And then this one, we have some intersecting lines. We have right here, we have perpendicular lines. We'll move that. And we have some acute angles there and some right angles. So in all of your 2-dimensional objects, you can see these things. I told you before, everything that's man-made uses basic geometry, your lines, your angles, things like that. Now, if you walk outside and look at stuff that is found in nature, it has really different shapes and you don't see as much of that. But when you're talking about things that we build, like desks, buildings, cars, different things like that, you're going to see a lot of these attributes in them. So now what we're going to talk about is line of symmetry. And a line of symmetry is a line drawn on a shape, like we have here, or object, in which the shape or object are the same on both sides. So that's the key word. That's our important thing, is that they have to be the same on both sides. So if we look right here, we see that the area, the surface area of this object is identical on both sides. We have right angle here, right angle there, right angle here, right angle there. So they're exactly alike. It has a line of symmetry. If we take the star, if we had it in paper and we folded it right down the middle, it would be the exact on each side. Also with the rectangle here and the arrow, you see a line of symmetry on each side. So you've got the same amount of surface space on this side, you have the same angles and the exact same lines on both sides. Same thing here. We have the same amount of surface space, and it mirrors the other side, which means it looks exactly the same. Just like when you look in the mirror, you see what you look like in real life. You're exactly the same. So we have the same angle here, same angle there, same type of lines, same surface area. So when you're talking about a line of symmetry, you're thinking of the word same, and it's the same lines, the same angles, the same amount of space. It has to be exactly the same, okay? Next thing we're gonna look at is, can we identify some lines of symmetry, or can we create some, and how many could we create? So look at the square here and think to yourself, how many different lines of symmetry could I make there? I think I'm gonna put my first one right here. Miss White, do you think that shows a line of symmetry?
I do not think so.
Oh, Miss White disagrees with me. Why do you think it is not correct, Miss White?
Because if you were to fold that in half, it would not be equal. It would not be the same on both sides.
So we have a lot more surface area over here. These lines are a lot longer than these over here. So let me see if I can just move that. And let's pretend that that is exactly half. So that would be one line of symmetry. What about if I cut it in half this way? That looks pretty good, doesn't it?
It does.
So that's two lines of symmetry. Some of you may be thinking, well, that's it, two. I think we're done. But let's try to do that. Is that a line of symmetry? We have matching angles on this side, matching lines, and the same surface area. So that would be our third line of symmetry that we've created. And if we can do it that way, we can also do it this way. So the square can actually, you can create 4 different lines of symmetry on the square. Okay, 4 different lines. And I bet most of you are thinking, well, it's the same for this object. And I could understand that. So if we take this one and we cut it in half, whoops, that's a little crooked. That's one line of symmetry. We could also take this and cut it this way. That would be a line of symmetry because you have matching angles, the exact same amount of surface space, and the same lines. So now let's see, can we do, there's no way I'll be able to do this correctly, so just bear with me. If I take and go from corner to corner, that looks awful, and cut it that way. Some of you may say, well, you've got the same kind of corners, the same lines. Is it symmetrical? What do you think, Miss White?
I do not think it's symmetrical.
Okay, so she says it is not exactly the same on each side. And why do you think that?
Because if you were to get a piece of paper that was a rectangle and fold it diagonally like that, your pieces of paper would overlap. It would not be equal.
So this would not be a line of symmetry because they are not actually mirroring each other. This side over here does not have the same distance as this. It would actually, if you cut it in half and you put them on top of each other, they would look like they were symmetric. But this one has been flipped. So if you took this side and you flipped it around here, then that's what you would get. So it's not exactly symmetrical because you don't have the same space on each side of the line. It's not exactly like she said. If you take one and you folded it, it's not going to overlap each other. You're going to have paper sticking out on each side. So it has to be exactly the same on both sides, okay? So notice some things around your house about symmetry, some different objects. See if you don't go writing on anything in your house because I don't want to get in trouble, but you can visualize some different things, or you could get a piece of paper and practice folding it different ways to see how many different lines of symmetry you could find. You could cut that paper into circles, triangles, rectangles, hexagon, pentagons, anything you want to, and try to figure out how many lines of symmetry you have. We have enjoyed working with you all, doing these videos. I hope you guys are watching them and enjoying them and doing the district work. So here are some things we're going to leave you with for the summer. For your summer work, you have homework. For the summer, you need to make sure that you're completing all the district printables. You can go to the Hamlin County HCBOE website, scroll down. By now, you should be doing those and you should know where they're at. You can print them out and do them. You can do them on notebook paper and then check them. But that's very important because that's a review of 4th grade material. And it's also going to cover some of the things that we didn't get to cover in class that we've done videos for. So make sure you're doing those, checking it. If you have any problem with it, check with an older brother or sister, check with your parents, or you could email us and ask us a question and we'll be glad to help you with it. Practice your math facts, multiplication and division. Of course, we know that if we know our multiplication really well, then it just stands to reason that we know division. Go to YouTube, listen to multiplication mashup. Make sure that you listen to it so much that your parents are tired of hearing it, or that they're singing it in the shower like we do when we get ready in the morning. Okay, number 3, take some time and enjoy the YouTube videos, the ones that we've provided here at Lincoln. You could also get ahead of the game by watching some of the 5th grade lessons. And you could also go to YouTube and just take advantage of all the math and science topics that they have for you to watch. Also, make sure that you're doing your Excel and all of those websites that we provide here at the school that you can do at home. So that way you will be ready for 5th grade next year. We love you, we miss you, and we hope you have a safe and happy summer.